Hello everybody and welcome to my garage renovation or remodel part 1. So as you guys can see here, this is my garage. I got a lot of stuff, a lot of just tools and stuff and stuff that we use for storage. It all collects in here. I've decided to kind of add a little bit more storage. As you guys can see here, this I kind of already started, and then I kind of thought this would be a nice little YouTube series, so um, I decided to pull out the camera and kind of record the process of this whole thing. So here I am. I sprayed on some water. I let that water soak into the popcorn ceiling for a good couple minutes, and then I got this little metal scraper putty knife thingy, and I'm just kind of just scraping all that popcorn ceiling. And again, I'm doing this in sections, my garage. So I'm not doing the whole thing all at once because of just the amount of stuff I have in the garage. I don't really have anywhere to store all that. I have a little shed out in the backyard, but yeah, it wouldn't there wouldn't be enough space in there to put all this, and I can't just leave this all outside because of the rain and the weather and stuff. So I decided to do the garage in sections. So I'm kind of where I'm scraping off this ceiling, there's kind of like a step up in the concrete. You guys will see later down this video of what I'm talking about. So I'm kind of doing this area first because this back wall here, this is where I normally have my two industrial like shelving stands, as you guys can kind of see there in the corner. So my game plan is to knock out this back area and put those shelves there, and then just stack as much as I can on those shelves and then do the rest of the garage. So I'm kind of, after removing that popcorn, I'm just kind of sanding everything smooth here. Um, and I do have a construction background as well, so I do a lot of renovations and remodels and stuff. So, but as far as drywall, I never did drywall. I always subbed it out to somebody else. But this is my first time ever tackling drywall. So this will be a nice little learning experience for me. Um, and then I'm kind of getting rid of this carpet, this old nasty carpet that we had in here to lead to the washer and dryer. And then I ended up filling in all these holes with some cheap plastic putty knife and some cheap drywall mud that I had laying around. But I ended up going with some better options later in this video, because especially this drywall mud, it took forever to dry. So as you guys can see, I'm kind of showing the little bucket there. So I'm kind of just filling in these holes, and this house used to be a rental, so we lived in it we rented it out for 2 years, and then we purchased it just recently from our landlord. So over the years of it being rented out, I believe it was rented out for like 10 plus years. The garage accumulated all these holes and dings and stuff because people always hung up their different shelving and their different little hooks that they drilled into the walls and stuff, and the different paint that this garage has also accumulated. So there's a little bit of work to be done here. And then I've decided to fill in this crack because there's where that concrete meets with the studs, there's a crack to the outside, so there's always air and bugs that like to crawl through there, so I'm just filling it in. And then I decided over here that I was gonna do this section of the garage as well. But as you guys can see, just the amount of stuff that I have, there's one thing that this house lacks is just storage. So our garage is kind of the storage for everything. So which is kind of the reason why I'm doing this remodel, because I kind of want to add some cabinets and some new shelves everywhere. Hide some of this stuff as well, because it's all just sitting out in the open. So I'm kind of just moving everything over. I decided to do this section as well. So as you guys can see, all that on that wall, those are all holes, just from different shelves, different pegboards people put up. I mean, so I'm pulling out all the plastic anchors that people put in these walls. So, and I'm kind of tapping it in with a hammer so that it would, whenever I'm mudding it, it would be a nice flush finish. So I'm here removing all my stuff because I mean, again, like I said, I'm the one also drilling the holes in it as well. So, and then I was doing this corner here, and then some of that paper decided to peel up, so I removed it. Another thing that this garage lacks is outlets. There's two outlets. There's this GFI, and then there's an outlet for the washer and dryer. So technically just this one outlet for, you know, whenever I'm working or doing stuff. So I decided to add another outlet on this wall because this wall has no outlets at all. And then I ended up finding out on that far right side that stud was a little bit wet. Um, it wasn't rotted out, it was just wet. So that gave me the indication that there was a leak either in the roof or in the outside wall here. So that was another upcoming project for the future. So here, and then I ended up running this Romex, and I thought I had more to run all the way down to where I cut it, but turns out I didn't have that much that I thought I had. So, which is fine. I mean, it just gives me um more practice to my drywalling and mudding and stuff, so it didn't really bother me. So here I am reinstalling that drywall, making sure there's backing to attach all the drywall. So here I'm tapping in all the holes again, and then I'm putting up plastic all over my stuff because I knew this process was going to be pretty dusty and messy. So here I am with some better mud this time, kind of mixing it up, putting on a thick coat, and putting on that joint paper or seam paper, whatever you want to call it, drywall paper. And again, this is my first time ever doing drywall. I mean, I got buddies that do it. Whenever I get drywall work out, I always sub it out to somebody else. I never do it myself. But since this is my house, I decided I'd rather just, learn on it because again, we're planning on doing a couple renovations inside the house as well. Um, so this is kind of an opportunity for me to learn how to do some drywall work. So kind of taking the opportunity and learning. So I think I ended up putting just one coat here for now. And then this is the next day. I ended up sanding some of this stuff, and then I quickly learned that people that do this for a living must be really, really strong or have a lot of stamina because this process tired me out so fast. Um, yeah, I mean, it was pretty cold outside, and I ended up taking off that jacket just because it was just such a tough process. So I learned sanding it with by hand was actually a lot better and quicker for me, because um, it was more focused on one area, so it sanded a lot quicker. And again, this is just a garage, so I'm not I mean, I'd like it for it to be as perfect as possible, but it's just a learning curve for me. Here I am compressing all that dust off the walls, and then I ended up putting on another coat here, and I think I put on a total of like 4 or 5 coats of mud on the walls. I don't think I recorded um, that entire process because it would just be me repeating what I'm doing over and over again, and I don't think that'd be entertaining. So I think this is either the fourth or the fifth coat that I'm putting on here. I'm making sure I put on a nice thick coat, spreading it out evenly. Um, so it actually turned out pretty good at the end, as you guys will see here at the end of this video. Making sure it's all nice and smooth and enough for me to sand off. So making sure I put on a nice thick coat But yeah, as you guys can see on that wall there, I mean, all that the mud patches on that wall, that's the amount of holes that accumulated over the years of this house being rented out to different people. Um, and then here I am, I'm vacuuming up the concrete that meets up with the studs on that wall there because like I said, there's a gap to the outside. So I'm just kind of going in there with this foam and I'm just filling in that gap. And then while I was filling it, a brown recluse spider decided to fall out of there. So again, that's another reason why I'm filling it, because insects like to come from there. Spiders especially, they always like to create their webs inside my tools and in the corners. So making sure I cover that up and fix that issue. Here I am sanding the ceiling down smooth. And then it was a pretty windy day, so that paper is blowing everywhere. And then I ended up going with a beer brand flat white paint, ceiling paint from Home Depot. Um, the ceiling was, I think I put about 2 to 3 coats on the ceiling, which was pretty good coverage with that paint. But I was having some issues with the wall coverage. You guys will see here pretty soon. So I'm putting on the first coat of this beer brand ceiling paint. Actually, the first coat went on pretty good, as you guys can tell. You can't really see the joints there, so that turned out pretty good. Yeah, and there wasn't much fixing of the ceiling after, and I could have probably put primer on here as well, but I mean, it is a garage, so I'm not really too worried about it. And it turned out pretty good at the end of it all, so maybe I'll keep that in mind for the future. And then here I am, I'm vacuuming all this dust because the dog especially likes to walk in here and kick up all the dust and stuff. So I'm just vacuuming all that up. The dog likes to be a cuddle bug sometimes, so getting rid of all this dust because I mean at the same time I'm breathing it all in. And then I'm coming back in here with the walls now. And then again, I went with the same beer, not the same paint, but beer brand paint on the walls. It was just a semi-gloss, just the most basic, cheapest paint I can get. But as you guys can see that corner, I mean the coverage, I wasn't having good luck with the coverage on the walls. I think I bought 1 gallon of paint and I used that entire gallon on both these walls that I was painting here. And I think I put about 4 or 5 coats, and even then it still wasn't enough coverage. I didn't want to keep recording the same process of me putting, 4 or 5 coats on because, like I said, that'd be a little bit boring. So yeah, as you guys can see, just the coverage was just terrible. I mean, it was just, again, I'm not trying to bash on beer or nothing. It was just, it might be me not knowing what kind of paint to pick out or what to buy, but I think this is either the second or third coat, but even then you can still kind of, yeah, you can still see the the mud behind there. And then ended up picking up a Sherwin-Williams paint, same thing, semi-gloss, and the coverage was a lot better, as you guys will see here. Yeah, just you can just tell coverage. This is just 1 coat, and I ended up putting 2 coats of this paint, and yeah, it was a lot better. So and then I ended up sanding the baseboard here because, again, this is a rental, so over the years, this baseboard just accumulated paint splatter and dust and just different types of gunk. So I'm kind of just sanding it all smooth. And then at the same time here, as you guys can see, this is what I was talking about earlier about that step up in the concrete. So this is kind of like my storage area back here. So I'm kind of going in here with a wire brush and a vacuum and vacuuming all that up and getting rid of whatever is on that concrete. Making sure I etch it up pretty good for because I ended up buying some Craftsman paint. It's a Craftsman garage paint specifically for garage floors, so I wanted to put some of that down there as well. And then here I am cutting off the access foam that was sticking out from underneath this baseboard, because again, I'm going to be painting the garage floor, and I'm going to also paint that um, the concrete where the wall sits on top of. And then I'm coming in here with some wax and grease remover, wiping it all down, getting rid of all the oil stains. And then here's that Craftsman paint that I was talking about. I'm putting a nice thick coat. And then I'm coming back and I'm sprinkling on some Lowe's and Home Depot sells it. It's like a sprinkles for like garage floors, as you guys can see there. Yeah, so I'm just putting a nice coat, sprinkle that on there, just to give it a nice little finish. And as you guys can tell, here's the finished finished walls or finished section. So this is part one of the garage remodel. As you guys can see, everything turned out pretty nice. There's that outlet there. I'm really happy with how it all turned out. So make sure you guys stay tuned for part two.